Hello and welcome to Soul Alchemy, your podcast to help you remember your true power and unfold all of your potential. Welcome to today's first episode to this podcast. And in today's episode, I want to speak a bit about what this podcast will be about, for whom it is, who I am, what my story is, and what led me here to doing this podcast. So, first, let me introduce myself. My name is Yasmin Soraya Poca. I am 29 years old, living in Italy currently, and I am a soul empowerment and transformation coach. So, my purpose in life, my mission, my soul mission in life is it to help people remember their true power, to help people remember who they really are, reconnect with their soul, and start living their true potential, start living their dreams, and make the life of their dreams their reality. So, this is what I do in my work, and I do this through my special method that I have developed, my coaching method called the 3 Pillars of Transformation, working with the 3 aspects of the human, which is the mind, the body, and the energy, to create transformation in the life of my clients and support them in overcoming blockages and reconnecting with their deepest essence. So, this is what I do for a living. This is what my mission in this lifetime at this moment in time looks like. And I came to this point in my life through my own very intense journey on this path of remembering who I really am, reconnecting with my soul, and reclaiming my power and beginning to really tap into my potential. And this journey began actually quite a long time ago at this point already. Well, you gotta know at this point that I was always a very intuitive child growing up, and I had a mother who was herself very open intuitively and very connected to nature and animals and all things a bit what at that time was called woo woo. So she was already very open spiritually for the time. So she supported me in my natural intuition and empathy and supported these abilities within me. So I was never as shut down as most of the people that I know who have been completely made to suppress all of their intuitive abilities. So I was lucky to not have that intense pressure on me. Doesn't mean that life was always easy cheesy, but already as a child, I learned from an elderly lady in our village. She was a bit called the village witch. I learned energy work from her, techniques in energy work. And at the age of 8, 9 years old, I was already energetically treating all of my family members on a regular basis. Of course, my methods were simple at that time. I was just starting to learn, but yeah, that's already where my journey started. So I am quite involved in the world of energy work since a very young age, and then at the age of 12 or 13, I was introduced to the world of animal communication, of telepathic communication, when my horse was having some real issues, and my mom again sent me to an energy worker who then showed me how to connect to animals on the telepathic plane and talk to my horse so I could find out what the problem was and how to solve it. And yeah, it actually worked. It actually worked. And after that, I started engaging in animal communication on a regular basis. So the energetic world is not that, I'm not a stranger to it, let's say it like that. Mhm. But the world that I was a stranger to for quite a long time was the world of personal development. I discovered personal development at the age of, how old was I? 2018 at this point. I would have to calculate, and I'm not so good at calculating. So I was 22, 23, 24, something like that, around between 22 and 24. Somewhere there, I discovered personal development. I think I was 20, 23, 23. I think I was. So I discovered personal development, and I started doing courses, and I started reading books, and I started getting really interested in it. So as I was growing up, I always had this very strong desire in my heart to do something in this world that makes a difference, that has a meaning. And yeah, I was really wanting to do something with my life that matters. So for a long time, I loved working with horses, and I thought that my path would be to help horses, like to work with very difficult horses, very problematic horses, and or very traumatized horses, and help them come back into balance and help their owners build a good relationship with them again and help them heal. And for quite a while, I did that actually during my studies. That was my side job. I was giving lessons, I was giving horse riding lessons, and I was a lot actually working with difficult horses, training horses. And I loved doing that. But it became, at some point in my life, it became rather clear to me that I might actually have an even bigger goal than just helping horses in my life. Like I was noticing how much I loved coaching the humans in those trainings, when I was working with the horse and their owner. I noticed that with my passion, I loved working with the horse alone too, but like where I really got fired up was when I got to coach the owners on really, like, gotta know that, like, working with a horse is always personal development. It always goes into depths, and especially if you're having a problematic horse, like, it asks a lot of us. So I really coached them, you could say. It was really personal development for them in our horse training lessons and in our horse training sessions. And a lot of them actually feedbacked that back to me and told me, like, since I'm working with you with my horse, not only have things like gotten a lot better with my horse, but I'm also noticing everywhere in my life those amazing changes are happening, and I can see how that is related to what we're doing in those sessions, and that is so amazing. So I really found my passion for coaching there. And yeah, but I came from the background of the old world, where you're expected to go to school, graduate, and then do your studies at university, and then go get a job. So I thought I had to do that, and although I always felt like that was not my path and it felt so wrong, and already, like, during my studies I was thinking about maybe I could get independent, maybe I could do my own thing like this or like that. I ended up in what I was made believe had to be my path. So uh, I took a job when I finished my studies. At 24, I took on a job. 23, 24, it doesn't matter. 24, I took on a full time job in marketing in a bank. So, oh my gosh, this was so against everything that I believe in, all my values. And I was miserable in this job. Except the fact that while I was studying media, I kind of already knew while I was studying, the more I learned about media, the less I wanted to work in media. At least media, how it used to be in the old world, how it was a tool of manipulation. I just hated that. So I ended up in a job in marketing in a bank. It was not suited for me at all. And so I was like so miserable that I was starting to like find plans and make ideas and was trying to figure out my path and what I where I wanted to go with my life. And that was not too long after I had actually quite a massive event happening in my life where my it was pretty much at the exact same time that my parents split up, and like there was a real divorce war going on, and they were trying to pull my brother and me into the middle. And at the same time, I dealt with massive suppressed childhood traumas coming up and rising to the surface, and me remembering them for the first time in 20 years and having to deal with the PTSD that came with that. So it was quite an intense time. So I accepted that job and I was miserable in it. And so my soul was already guiding me and nudging me towards finding ways to get out of that, because I started so deep diving into personal development at that time. I really got deep into everything I could find on personal development, on finding your path, on doing things your own way, and creating your life your own way. And while I was still in my job, I started an education, and I got a diploma in, how do I best translate it? My diploma was done in German, so I'm trying to translate what it was called in a way that actually makes sense also in English. You could say mindset and neuronal reprogramming was the diploma that I got mindset training and neuronal reprogramming. So I did that education for 2 years. Every second weekend of the month, I was sitting in school, pretty much doing it on the side, writing my diploma thesis while I was working full time, which was quite an intense experience. And yeah, but what happened to me was that actually I was getting to a point with the job that I was in that it made me so miserable. And I was so programmed into thinking that I have to stay and I have to do it this way until I have a fixed plan on how I'm going to do it, how I'm going to get independent, how I'm going to do that, how I'm going to start that. I have to stay in that job. I have to continue. And I was so fixed in that because I was so programmed from the old paradigm that until you know exactly all your next steps, you cannot let go of the old, which of course in the new paradigm we know is nonsense, because the steps appear as you walk. You take the first one and the rest appears. But I was still in that old concept. And so I pushed myself and pushed myself and pushed myself to the point where I ended up actually having a burnout. So I ended up having a burnout and had to communicate that to my superiors. And well, when I did that, I ended up being fired from the job. And that at that time, that was the worst for me. I felt like such a failure. Although I hated that job, I felt like a total failure. Like the idea of having been fired was the worst in my head. But what I didn't know at that time was that it was actually a blessing. So the way I was fired was actually, I was lucky because of the way things had turned out, that I was having the burnout and everything. It was arranged in a way that I was still paid for the rest of the year. I think I was fired in October. So they still paid me normally October, November, December. And I was kind of like off duty though. And the it was arranged, like I then got the chance to arrange it, that I ended up not being fired officially, but officially I was moved to what was called an educational break. So financed by the social system, employees every 4 years can take an educational break of 1 year, where the social system like pays them a certain amount of time, like I think 70% of their salary every month, while they do an education. So they're not working, but instead they're doing the education. So I was going onto an educational break, and I was deepening my knowledge at that time. And yeah, it was exactly what I needed. So the universe had already provided for me, and I just was too scared to take the step. So it kind of like threw me in there by, yeah, giving me a burnout. Or, yeah, that's pretty much it. Well, but from there, everything started really heading upwards, because after my educational break, I got into a program by the state that helps young people to like start their own companies, start their own businesses. Like you get support with workshops, you get a coach and a mentor to help you get it started, to teach you some principles and stuff like that. So I got into that program, and yeah, I went for it. I started my own business, and at that time, I went for what I already knew, and what I already knew I was good at it, where I already had clients. So I started with the horse training and horse riding lessons business, but I also included energetic work in it. So I offered energetic work for animals and humans. And so I went into that business, and I did that for a year. And yeah, I was really happy to finally get started doing my own thing. So I loved it. I really did. But I realized along the way it was just not enough for me. It was not what I was meant to do on this earth. So the more I went on my own journey of healing, of discovering, of finding out who I was and remembering the truth of my soul, reconnecting with who I was, the more I realized that I wanted to help people do the same. I was on this intense journey, and I was doing all this healing work and this shadow work and this discovery work and going into the depths of my being and removing all those masks, healing all that trauma. And trauma healing was for me such a big piece, because I had to deal with such immense trauma at the time. And I had no idea how to deal with it, because yeah, well, I went to see a therapist, but just talking about it didn't make it any better. So I went on my own journey of finding out what would really, really help me heal my trauma and fix this thing in my life where I felt it was limiting me so much. So I went on a deep journey. I did energetic work. I did mind reprogramming work. I did all kinds of stuff. I went into meditation, spirituality, into the higher dimensional kind of work. And then I also discovered somatic work, which was for me like a really big piece to the puzzle that I think very many people are still missing. The somatic aspect of things, and working really with and through the body, reconnecting the mind and the body, and including the body in the healing process, seeing the two as one. And yeah, so I really dove deep into the old practices, the ancient practices, the mystery school practices of old times. And I really found healing there. So over the years, then I figured out the best ways, the most efficient ways for me to work with that, to work with the body, with the somatics, with the nervous system, with the mind, with reprogramming of the mind, with healing of beliefs, shifting of beliefs, healing of mental patterns, and setting the mind up for success and up for happiness and a joyful life. And also, yeah, working with the energy, like supporting all of this by doing really deep energy work and emotional work. So this was my discovery journey of the three pillars of transformation, actually. And along that path, when I decided to move to Italy in 2021, yeah, I moved in 2022, in January 2022, but the decision was made in 2021, because my partner's from Italy, and we actually always talked about how we wanted to live in the south. So we wanted to take that first step, and at this point move to the north of Italy to already have our base there, have our businesses there, and be already prepared to move further at some point. So I moved to Italy, and then I knew that it was time to shift my business, that it was time to restart and change my business and move from doing energy work and horse training to really doing what I wanted to do, which was coaching people, helping people to really go through the process that I had gone through, like support them, or not go through it because they're already going through it, but support them along the way and show them the shortcut. Because for me, it took many years to find out all those things. So I wanted to show them the shortcut, and I wanted to help them reconnect to their soul and remember who they really are and heal and let go and like start tapping into that true potential, into that true joy and aliveness, and begin finally living their dreams, because we all deserve to live our dreams. Our dreams are put in our hearts for a good reason, because we're here to make them a reality, and that serves the whole, that serves the all of everything, the highest good of all. So that's how I ended up in this scenario where I'm now this soul empowerment and transformation coach. And a big piece of the story for me was really rediscovering my power, deeply reconnecting with the truth of who I really am underneath all the conditioning, underneath all the masks, and starting to tap into that potential within me and knowing how to navigate it. And this is what this podcast is meant to be all about. Soul alchemy is really about alchemically rediscovering your soul, alchemically releasing and shifting everything that was put upon your deepest, truest essence, to cover it up, to disconnect you from it, all the conditioning, all the masks, all of that. Well, if we bring true alchemy to all of that, we can heal it, we can let it go, we can take the gold, we can turn it into gold. Means we learn big lessons from it. It becomes wisdom within ourselves, but it does no longer stand between us and our deepest essence, our soul truth, our deep soul truth. And we actually get to reconnect to our soul truth and our real power. We get to reclaim that true power within us, deep within us. And from there, what we really want in this life, what we're really here for, our mission, it becomes so clear. It becomes so easy. And yeah, our potential can just unfold as we follow our soul's guidance. And that is what I want for all of us, because I truly believe that through healing humanity, through each of us, each single person doing their healing work and healing their body, mind, and soul, we create a better planet. We create this new earth through our own healing, through returning to our true essence, through returning to our souls, and returning to connection with ourselves, because the separation we see out in the world is a reflection of the separation we carry within us. We are so separated from ourselves in this society, in this world. We have been taught to disconnect and separate and put things between us and our soul, layers and layers and layers. And that reflects in our world, this separation. And if we come back to true connection within ourselves, if we're truly connected to our soul, to our essence, to who we really are, I truly believe that that recreates the connection in the outside world, and that will heal this wound of separation that we see everywhere, that causes so many horrible things: violence, war, death, greed, all of those things that we see out there, and can bring us back to a unity consciousness, a world where we all thrive in, where the main basic concept, the law of nature, that we as humanity start believing in again, is the law of mutual help and collaboration, instead of the law of the survival of the fittest, because that is the true law of nature. mutual help and collaboration. But we were programmed to believe that it's the survival of the fittest, to make us disconnect, to get us to the point where we fight each other, where we separate each other, where we disconnect even from ourselves, where we even fight ourselves, so that we become easily controllable. So when we return to the law of mutual help and collaboration, we return to how we're actually meant to live as one community, helping each other, supporting each other, where concepts like violence and greed and death and even competition don't even exist. They don't even exist because it becomes unnatural. And that's the world I want to live in, and that's the world that I want to help create. And this podcast is meant to be a piece of the puzzle, as it's meant to support you on your own journey to heal yourself and recreate that deep connection with your soul, with your true potential within yourself, and give you tangible tools and tangible shifts, mindset shifts, so that you can really start to tap into your potential and live it and make your dreams come true, transform your reality. Because that is what I'm here for. That is what I love. That is what I live for. That's what my heart beats for. That's what my soul has chosen. And this is what I want to support you in. So if this sounds like your place to be, stay tuned for the next episode, and episodes will be uploaded weekly. And yes, I would love to hear any of your thoughts, any ideas, any feedback. So just anything you want to share, leave me a comment below, and stay tuned for another